Hello and welcome to the Just Another Football Podcast World Cup preview. The tournament where the biggest JAFP Derby, the JAFP Derby to end all JAFP Derbies, is going to take place. I don't imagine a JAFP Derby taking place anytime soon that is bigger than this. And if it ever does, it will be like in a Champions League semi-final or final. Are you excited, Harry? What's the initial
to answer
feeling?
your question, that would rely on maybe Ireland qualifying for a tournament. So I think you're right in that sense.
Yeah.
Won't be seeing one anytime soon.
Yeah, and Chelsea also being rubbish at the moment.
Fergal's in a nice position for the next few weeks where, unless we win the tournament, he can't really lose. So I thought I'd just get a shot in there early. But yeah, looking forward to it, mate. It's, hopefully should get the results. It should be good.
You can't lose if you're not in the tournament, and then you can claim that you also boycotted this horrendous tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there was all an ulterior motive behind it.
Horrible.
No doubt.
Yeah. Horrible. Before we do get started, I just wanted to give a slight mention, and really sorry to do this. It's going to start on a somber note because my alma mater, the University of Virginia, last night witnessed a pretty horrendous act of basically terrorism. Someone that was on the football roster a few years ago, certainly when I was there, shot 3 dead from the current football team, and 2 others are injured. So I just wanted to wish everyone in Charlottesville, everyone around campus, the best. I have loads of friends there. They're all safe, thankfully. The shooter's in custody and everything as of now. So, but yeah, just wanted to give that a really quick mention. And you know, this country continues to disappoint in gun control. The very fact that we have people just running around with guns that are not in military or police or any defense system is pretty horrendous. But needed to give that a mention, and wishing everyone the best. But let's get into it now. Speaking of the US, we're in the same group, Harry. We're gonna play each other on Black Friday, November the 25th, and we go in with 2 squads that have surprises in them. Your squad caught me out in a specific area of the pitch, but I want to hear your initial overall thoughts on the squad and what chance it gives you at this moment.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think? What do you think of it?
I think regardless of who had been picked in this squad, I don't think my opinion would have changed that much on kind of what I expect from us going into the tournament. I think as it goes, the 26 that he's named is by the large pretty uncontentious. I think there's a couple of positions where you look at and certain players have been omitted and you can debate the merits of that. I suspect yours probably revolves around centre half.
Yeah.
My main problem with the squad is the omission of Ivan Toney, and that's not just off the back of what happened at the weekend where he obviously scores 2 goals against Man City.
Yep.
But kind of the way I look at it, and this isn't to single out any particular player, but I am going to do exactly that. I don't understand the selection of someone like Conor Gallagher, who in effect, in my opinion, is the 26th pick in the squad, given that he wasn't in the previous squad and is now in this one. I think it's safe to assume he was probably one of the last names in. I don't get picking him over someone like Toney when, firstly, we've only named 2 recognised strikers, and I know Rashford can play there, and you could, in an emergency, probably use Sterling, and I know Kane will play all the minutes if he's available. But when I look at it and look at the players that, in my mind at least, are ahead of Gallagher in the pecking order, he certainly won't play, any substantial minutes in the tournament.
Yep.
And I think of the scenarios in which he could get minutes compared to, in my mind, the scenarios in which you'd put someone like an Ivan Toney on, whether it be for a penalty shootout or whether it be when you're chasing a game, given that he offers some of the physical and technical qualities that you want when you're chasing a game. That's a selection I struggle to understand. That was it for me, really. I think all the other ones, by and large, he's picked the players you'd expect. Obviously, Maddison's in there, and I think that's a good thing. And I think it's quite smart from him to do that in the sense that even if he doesn't play much, it's not a talking point going into the tournament. I think with a 26-man squad, it allows you to potentially pick one or two players where every squad that's announced, there's a clamour for a certain player to be named in it or a certain player to be in the team. So I think in the last tournament it was Grealish, like by the majority, everyone wanted to see him playing, and there was kind of questions over whether he would be in the squad, and obviously he was. And I think this time it's Maddison, and I think even if he doesn't play, just to have him in the squad means that there's not kind of a grey cloud hanging over the squad going into the tournament. So I think by and large, it's a pretty standard 26 that I would expect, with a couple of contentious points. But to come back to the start, I don't think whoever he'd named in the squad, it makes that much of a difference for me in terms of kind of what I expect from the next few weeks, really.
From the starting 11 point of view, do you think you're going to start a back 3 or 4?
So I suppose there's two parts to this, like kind of what I want to see, what I think we'll see, and then following on from that, it's kind of, do you go with the team that is to win the first game against Iran, which obviously they'll be the worst team we play in the tournament, like no doubt about that. So it's, do you pick a team to win that game, or do you pick a team that you're going to stick with in terms of system anyway, kind of throughout the tournament? And I think at the last tournament, he did change between a back 3 and a back 4 at certain points, albeit that was with a few weeks leading into it where you've got the group together, so perhaps you can kind of groove the tactical nuances of it. Whereas this time it's kind of, the league has literally finished yesterday, there's a week, and then you're straight into the tournament. And England haven't played a back 4, I had a look at this earlier, for 9 months in any of their games. It's been back 3 pretty much every time. So it's just whether that they're well versed enough in that system to kind of go with it in the first game. But then my expectation is he'll go with a back 3 the second we get into the knockout stages, kind of whoever we play. And so it's, do you want to just play that system, stick with it, and have it in a good place going into the games against some of the better teams?
See, I'm going to go back to the Ivan Toney point, because you are absolutely right. You mentioned Iran being the worst team you're possibly going to play, but what Iran also will provide. And also on Iran, they haven't picked their squad yet. They picked it, and then I read news this morning from, I think it was Ian Dark, the ESPN commentator, and he said that's been postponed because there's a women's rights movement happening in Iran, of course, and there's pressure on the FA and the head coach, Carlos Queiroz, who is the Egypt head coach, to exclude players that are in support of this movement. So that's a story to follow in the coming days.
Yeah,
there's only 5 of them until the start of the World Cup. It's insane. And you played them first. But on Ivan Toney, what especially Iran and to a big extent Wales do is, like, they're kind of gonna sit back and deny space and frustrate. And now with the profiles of forwards they have, Callum Wilson being really a poacher and not as much a physical presence as Ivan Toney is, and Harry Kane being someone that drops deep more often than not, to my mind, you needed someone who is good in the air and will kind of be a really big presence in the box when you're chasing the game, if it comes to that point, and it can against Iran. So I don't know. I think he would have been a good inclusion regardless.
Yeah, no, I think so. But I also think that had he been selected, it's not like him not getting selected is why we won't win the tournament. I think it's one of those where you just go, yeah, I think he would have made the squad better. I think what he offers, to my mind, is more beneficial at this point. But it's kind of a small gripe with overall. It's a decent squad, but I don't expect much from it anyway. So that's kind of where I'm at with it all, really.
Where do you expect to finish the World Cup?
I think, and we'll get into our more specific predictions in a bit, but I think it's always a dangerous game to kind of predict which teams are going to finish where, and then obviously that will dictate who you end up playing.
Yeah, it's.
But I think whatever way I look at it with England, whether they top the group, finish second, I do think they'll get through the group to, as off the bat. But then I think whoever they end up playing, certainly by the quarter-final, it's either going to be France or Argentina, more than likely. And then if it's not France in the round of 16, then we, might play the Netherlands in the round of 16. Not France in the quarter, sorry. If we were to finish second, we'd play the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I just look at it and think whoever we play in that portion of the tournament, I don't expect us to beat them, if I'm honest. So that would be my expectation going into it. If teams do what I expect them to do, I think I'd be sort of looking at the quarters. This isn't me saying that if we get to the semis or the final, I'd be kind of delighted. But if I'm just being realistic with the prediction, I think if England were to play a France or an Argentina at that stage, I think those teams are better than us, simply put.
Wow. Thoughts, Fergal? Do you agree with all this? As an unbiased Irishman, I imagine.
Unbiased.
I'm after doing a wee quick bracket there, and I've done it a couple of times, and I literally have done it twice now, and so I changed my mind a couple of times. I have England going to the semi-final on both of them for some reason.
Beating France.
Who do you have them beating in those games, out of interest?
Denmark.
In the
right, I think France are going to come second.
Do you think Denmark will top their group?
That's not the worst.
I think Denmark.
No, I can see that happening.
I think Denmark are going to top the group. I just like Denmark. I shouldn't like Denmark because they put Ireland out of the last World Cup. But I think they're solid. They've beaten France recently, and France don't look like they have it all together.
They're always prone to a revolt.
It might be a case like, this is it. Whenever things are in turmoil with the French camp, it's not like the Italians where they sort of rally around and do well. It usually gets worse. So I'm wondering if it's either that they'll have a poor group stage, and then they might kick on from there, or they'll have a poor group stage, possibly go out if it went disastrously wrong. I can't really see it with the group they have though. But then come second and maybe bomb out early. But
it's very possible.
Either way, I just have a feeling Denmark are going to win the group.
That's fair enough.
That's very possible. Out of interest, where do they have the US men's national team?
I've got them around a 16. I don't know what
Fergal
had them.
I have them third in their group.
I agree with Fergal.
Ooh. Yeah. So go into it a bit, Ali. Then, so obviously they named the squad recently.
They have. Look, man. So England, Wales make it through. I would be fine with getting a point. Because a point against Iran. Not because in a 0-0. Not because and I'm naturally pessimistic and I shouldn't be. We have loads of talent. We have loads and loads of talent. This is an incredibly exciting group. But Greg Berhalter, the head coach, he has multiple issues. First of all, with talent ID and how to use the players and get the best out of them. Tactical decisions in game and making substitutions. And consistency. Those three don't exist. I'm not sure. I'm not inspired by what's happening here. So I want to kind of go through the squad and some of the context behind it. And just
Can I just say something quickly, Ali?
Go for it.
I watched. My knowledge of the men's national team is Pulisic and a couple of the other names, and then James Alcott's big World Cup preview that he dropped.
Yeah.
In that, he was like, he's big on playing a 6, and he doesn't like a number 10.
Yeah.
I look at that team and I go, that's screaming a 4-2-3-1.
It's absolutely, I agree 100%. It screams a 4-2-3-1. You would have Yunus Musa next to Weston McKennie. You've got Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie. Oh, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie. Yeah. Or Yunus Musa. Like, McKennie and Musa are interchangeable.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Tyler Adams, McKennie or Musa. Brendan Aronson at the number 10. Giorena Pulisic at either side. and Haji Wright up front, and we'll get to the striker situation later, but I want to kind of go back to front and like just to give you an idea of where the decision making is at. So goalkeeper, good news for you, Harry. Matt Turner is going to start. Turner. He's got the number 1 shirt. The other two are Ethan Horvath, Luton Town, and Sean Johnson, NYCFC. The keeper that started most of the qualifiers, Zach Steffen, is not going. Kind of all right-ish start to the championship season. I don't rate him either, but it's kind of heartbreaking if you've played a big part in qualifiers, and there's another position where that's another issue too. If you've played a big part in the qualifiers, to my mind, you should go. Like you played a part in the team being where they are, and you should go, right? So justice-wise, Zach Steffen should be there. Ethan Horvath shouldn't be there. Right backs. We have 6 players that can play right back.
Sounds like England.
6. Yeah. I know, right? Where he lost them all.
Especially with right backs.
So, with the England USA game being on Black Friday, there'd be a big sale on right backs going.
Flash sale even. They just want to get rid of them.
Flash sale for right back.
Yeah. Whoever wants to pick them up. So yeah, we have 6 right backs. We have 4 like solidified right back options, and 2 that can do it. Timothy Weah played at the weekend all 90 minutes at right back with Lille. Tyler Adams has played right back in the past for RB Leipzig. And then there's Sergino Dest, Joe Scally of Borussia Mönchengladbach, DeAndre Yedlin, who's the only player that has played a World Cup before. I guess that has some sort of value, but come on. And then Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore is just another MLS right back. And I'm not saying he doesn't have any talent, but Shaq Moore will not get a single minute.
Are you endorsing him or as just another MLS right back?
No, it's confusing because why? Why would you waste a spot on a right back that will 100% guaranteed not get a single minute on the pitch?
What agency?
What agencies? I actually don't know, but he's mid-20s, I want to say. I want to say he's like 23. Right. Yeah. The only left back option we have is Anthony Robinson, but that's no fault of Greg's. We don't have a lot of left backs in the pool.
Hasn't Des played there before?
Des played there before, and Joe Scally played there before, so these 2 will serve like kind of cover for that. But Robinson will play every single minute he can. Center backs. No Matt Miazga. And yes, Aaron Long. Aaron Long is average. You should have him. So we'll play this high line. Aaron Long is kind of quick, okay, but it fails to track runners. So you should have the better of him. And then where else? Striker. The top goal scorer for our squad in the qualifiers didn't go. Ricardo Pepi. He scored 3 goals in the qualifiers, which tells you like the goal scoring deficiencies that we have, which is why I'm saying we'll get a 0-0 against Iran, and that will be the only point we have in the tournament because we just can't score goals. And he has taken Jesus Ferreira. Now, what he said, there's also Jordan Pifak. So let's go like this: Jordan Pifak and Haji Wright. Haji Wright plays for Antalya Sport in Turkey, scored 9 goals in 12 games. Phenomenal start to the season. Inclusion, I'm a fan of. Good. Okay. Now, Jordan Pifak, to my mind, should go too, but his form dried up a bit in the last month, and Greg Berhalter's reasoning was that we picked Haji Wright over Jordan Pifak because of form. You know, going into the World Cup, you're in a hot streak of form, you carry this into the World Cup. Fair enough. Jesus Ferreira was being compared to Ricardo Pepi. Jesus Ferreira hasn't scored in his last 7 games and hasn't played a competitive game since early October in the MLS Cup playoffs. Ricardo Pepi cannot stop scoring in the Netherlands. Scored 5 goals in the last, I want to say 7 or 8. And Jesus Ferreira was taken, despite Ricardo Pepi being obviously in the better form. So that tells you where the decision-making is at. And then the third striker is Josh Sargent. Okay, plays for Nottingham for Norwich City. Well, Nottingham Forest, Norwich City. It's a decent start to the season, to be fair, but the championship is his kind of level. He's, I am worried about the striker situation. Personally, I'd just start Haji Wright. Tall, strong, 6'4", good jumping, good heading. And like just try to get his
Josie Altidore.
The Josie Altidore figure, except Haji can jump. Josie couldn't. But yeah, Josie was like he kind of. There's this robotic run where his feet kind of dragged on the ground like sliders. It was very strange. But yeah, we do have a lot of talent though in the line behind the forwards. Reina, Pulisic, Aronson, 3 of the best American players next to obviously McKinney.
He only plays 2 at a time.
2 at a time. It will have to happen. I want to play. I want to say Brendan Aronson starts, obviously, but I think there's a good chance he doesn't because we're gonna play 4-3-3. So it will be Tyler Adams in the base. Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, I think are gonna be the two that start, which wouldn't be a problem. Like it wouldn't be bad if you're going 4-3-3 and then Pulisic and Reina either side of Jesus Ferreira is the one that's gonna start. So. Congrats, boys! You have the win, Harry. You won the game.
I wouldn't be sure, mate. I've watched the last half a dozen England games. There's not been much to shout about.
God, we're so optimistic.
Yeah.
Let's get into the specific predictions that we have for this World Cup.
Yeah,
and I want to say they are quite different. First of all, who wins the World Cup? Let's get that out of the way.
So, again, you're sort of playing a dangerous game where you're predicting what teams will do.
Yep.
I will say, if it goes as expected and they win their groups and then they win their games that I expect them to win, I think it comes down to not the final, the semi-final between Brazil and Argentina, and I think the winner of that game wins the World Cup.
I agree.
And in mine, I've got Brazil. But I honestly, really tough to call, and I think you could confidently make a case for either.
I think it's all about who's star players. It's who has the better tournament. Who between Messi and
Neymar. Yeah.
I think Argentina definitely need Messi to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But he has been this season. There's signs of it. This is the thing.
He's been pretty explosive.
And Brazil definitely have more of a stacked attack.
The only thing with Brazil,
I haven't seen Brazil, but the fact they play Richarlison a lot is like something that's like sort of making me think like it. I don't know if that's gonna work. Like
I think the bigger problem with Brazil. I think the big problem was Brazil, and when I saw their squad named, and granted I haven't watched a lot of them, I think the fullbacks are weak. And I think Fred starting midfield, I know he does a decent job for them, but I just don't rate him particularly highly.
Surely he has to go for Guimaraes, Casemiro.
He doesn't. The 2 that will definitely play from my research into Brazil are Casemiro and Paquetá. He plays for them pretty much every time. And then the third spot is the one where it might depend on the opposition, but it could be Fred, it could be. I mean, they might play Neymar centrally. I don't know, maybe to get an extra winger in. From seeing Guimaraes,
hasn't done much for West Ham.
No, but he's sort of like England. I think that they stick with the same players. It's why Richarlison plays up front all the time. He's been the striker.
If they stick with the same players, why didn't they call up Neymar? Not Neymar, Firmino. I'm a bit confused.
I think Richarlison's been the 9 for a good period of time now.
Yeah.
Ever
I
since
Firmino played recently. I thought Firmino played.
He was in the last squad, and Jesus wasn't. But it's Richarlison's been the starting 9 for a while, from what I've seen with Brazil.
I would have had Firmino over Richarlison easy.
But they're very different.
But the thing is, it's not Firmino or Richarlison; it's Firmino or Jesus, because Jesus doesn't start. Richarlison starts, and granted,
but in the squad.
Yeah, but the problem is he starts. He's their starting striker. Like he I mean, I agree with you. Fuck him. He's a Spurs player, but he will definitely play. I think the thing you can't argue with Brazil is their wingers are the best in the tournament. I think when you look at it as kind of an all round package, either who starts, who comes off the bench, very difficult to compete against some of the players that they've got, and I think that is why I'm just edging with it at the moment. But
yeah,
it's tight. It's really tight.
The spine right down the middle. I wouldn't even say the spine because that's almost like too few players. But right down the middle, it's literally the fullbacks, and depending on the centre mid pairing, I think you could probably do better there with players that are in the squad. So you can't even knock it too much, that centre mid pairing. But yeah, it's slowly crept up at being an unbelievably good Brazil team. And there's been my sort of real football memory I haven't seen an unbelievable Brazil team like that people talk about.
You're probably
like,
looking at 2002. Yeah,
but I've no real memory.
No, that's what I mean. That's the last one though, 20 years ago.
Yeah, true. However, in that semi-final, Harry, I do have Argentina. I just think, just to knock,
I think it's either or.
All of the other predictions out of the
romantic.
way.
I'm Team Messi.
I'm Team Messi too.
Yeah.
I feel like Messi. This is Messi's tournament, and there's apart from the absolute hunger to win it this time, and I think he will have changed from the 2014 and 2018 nervousness to it all. Like, he was incredibly nervous every game in 2018. It felt like, and 2014 he was like not his usual. Although he won the Golden Ball, but I don't think he should have won the Golden Ball in 2014 to be fair. But
yeah,
I think this tournament he has captained Argentina to a tournament now. So I feel like this is, and he knows this is his last tournament. So it's like,
he's announced that. I'd be worried about like how that affects the team.
How do you mean?
Well, it's just whether there's that extra pressure because they know
it's the extra pressure that like he's like. It's like The Last Dance.
I feel like it's motivation.
You know, like.
Yeah, it depends on the way you look at it.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be motivation, and this is the best Argentina squad since 2006. Really?
Yeah. Won the Copa America.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they have winning experience together. Messi has served as captain in that squad too, and I feel like I think he's gonna be top goal scorer, best player, everything else that.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to. I really love that. In the wee predictor I had Portugal Argentina final. Messi versus Ronaldo.
See, Portugal Argentina on my Football Manager save was the no, not my save, on another series save. It was the final. So I like that was the one I was like, oh yeah, I would love to actually see this.
It'd be incredible. Who's the other attackers for Argentina? Because I saw it was like Di Maria, Martinez. Who else is in that sort of in the front three?
So you have Dybala is going. Dybala is there. So there were doubts about Dybala's ability to get fit in time, but he's going, which is a massive plus for them because
got Alvarez as well.
He's very on form. Julian Alvarez,
I like
Lautaro Martinez, Joaquin Correa, and Nico Gonzalez from Fiorentina. So these are the forwards, apart from Messi.
Yeah,
of course.
It's solid, and I think Messi's kind of he's the kingpin in all of this.
I think if Argentina are gonna win it, it's gonna be. I won't say a Maradona-esque performance because I think that what he done was, when you look back at that really was something special.
Yeah,
it's gonna have to be. He's gonna have to be aiming for that for Argentina to win it. I think there are better teams and squads, but it does feel like it's. I'm just Team Messi. Without a horse in this race, World Cup, I've kind of latched on to the only romantic sort of storyline in it, where Messi wins the World Cup.
Messi versus Ronaldo in the final to end the conversation once and for all. Messi's the greatest player to ever grace this sport.
I would be pretty surprised looking at their potential path if they win the group. I'd be pretty surprised if they don't make at least the semis. I think the only thing that could stop that happening is if France do what Fergal's predicted and come second in their group, because then they play in the round of 16. But I think if they don't and they play Denmark and then probably the Netherlands, I think they win both those games. And then you're into that shootout with probably Brazil. So,
yep. Okay. we've spoken about the winners. So Argentina, Brazil, Argentina is our prediction. That semifinal is certainly big chance of happening because their groups are kind of easy. Their path is open. Disappointments. Who are your biggest disappointments?
So
I've mentioned mine already. I think I'm gonna go France. I think anything less than a semi-final, you could potentially even say a final for this team, like with the players that they have, I think is a disappointment. I would imagine the French fans would be thinking the same. I think they could go out in the quarterfinals, maybe even the round of 16 if they get a bad draw. In the predictor I have Argentina beating them, as you said, Harry.
Yep.
In the round of 16.
That's who they played in the last World Cup, in the round of 16 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Argentina were a bit chaotic, and they played in the round of 16.
That was the best game.
It could have went either way, that game.
Yeah, ebbed and flowed.
Was that the Pavard goal game?
Yeah. That was a Pavard.
Argentina were winning. Yeah, Argentina was 2-1 up.
Yeah.
And then
4-2 down.
Yeah.
So
see, if Argentina take a 2-1 lead against France this tournament, that doesn't happen. This comeback doesn't happen.
But yeah, they scraped through the group, didn't they, last time? Argentina?
They did.
Like,
they had to.
They
Marcos Rojo winner against Nigeria in the 80-something minute.
Yeah.
Get them through the group. It was a terrible performance from Argentina at that time. France then. Fergal.
Yeah.
Harry?
Yeah.
So there's two I'm looking at. So I've gone with Belgium. I think the two teams I would look at this, given, again, like the permutations of it, whoever tops the group between Spain and Germany, whoever comes second, I think beats Belgium. If Belgium win their group, which is pretty routine. And I was looking at their squad, it came out the other day, and their defenders are really poor. It's an aging defense. It kind of looks like a squad that, you know, for the last 8 years, say, has been fantastic. They've had a really good group.
Yeah.
Been right at the top of the world rankings. Obviously, in the last World Cup, I think if they win that tight semi-final against France, they win the tournament. And you know, it was a very tight game. Could have gone either way. I think that was their chance. And I think this is just a step too far this time. And I really can't see them having a great tournament, I must be honest.
I have a feeling about Belgium that I don't think they'll disappoint, mainly because I think everybody's dark horses for every tournament. Yeah. I feel like that's finally died down, maybe for a good reason.
Yeah, because they're worse.
Well,
worse,
yes,
but
the players aren't
worse. But the same,
you know, you haven't got a prime Hazard there even at this time.
Yeah.
Lukaku's not what he was.
He still does well for the Belgian team.
I know, but he's not. Fergal, he's not what he was at Chelsea. Like this
they have players like they still have players like De Bruyne. I think I don't think they'll be disappointed. I think they'll do a solid job. And the only thing is about them though, if they do have a poor time of it, a group is one of the trickiest ones. They could be out if they did flop, they could be out in the group stages.
I think they'll top their group. I don't particularly rate Croatia given the last tournament, but I just can't see them beating Spain or Germany. I just don't see them winning that game, and then therefore round of 16. I think that would be a disappointment.
Germany. I get your point about Spain.
Yeah. I actually don't have Croatia qualifying from the group at all, but I don't think that will be a disappointment because ever since the 2018 World Cup, they've gone on a big downward kind of trajectory. I think Canada make it through in that group. Belgium, Canada are good. Canada are very underrated.
Dark horses.
Yeah. We'll get into that later. But my disappointments are England. Even though you're going to finish top of the group,
this is all relative, right? Like,
yeah.
So, where do you think we'll go out? Like, I'm saying I think we'll go out in the quarters. So if we go to the quarters and go out, I don't know if I could say that's a disappointment because it's kind of what I expected, you know?
Yeah. I do have you going into the quarterfinal. But the thing is, a quarterfinal is a good stage to be in a World Cup, like one of the best 8 teams in the world, whatever. And going out of France is not embarrassing in and of itself.
Whether that's a disappointment, though. Like, if we lose to France are better than us. Let's be perfectly clear about this.
My take on this is not when England go out or to who, it's the manner of it. It's how.
Okay.
I don't see good performances coming from them. I think you're going to be you're going to regret not having Tony. You're going to regret the center back choices, and you're going to play in an overtly cautious manner that doesn't fit either the form or the quality of the center backs you have. And going forward, not much chance creation, just because of your play style of late. So
I agree with every word you said.
Like you'll win against Senegal, but it won't be very tight against
it'd be 1-0
Senegal. So
scrape it. Yeah, I agree with every word you said,
I
which
don't
is
think
why
they'll play Senegal. I think Ecuador are going to come second.
Okay,
rock bottom.
It's honestly it's a toss up between the two of them, especially because Sadio Mane isn't playing. If Mane starts every game, Senegal are definitely making it through. But that's not going to be the case.
Just to pick you up on slagging off Croatia.
Yeah,
Croatia did top the Nations League group that had Denmark, France, and Austria in it.
It's the Nations League. Not even the French squad knows how it works. Come on, they think it's friendlies. Yeah, I would count that as
I'm just saying.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if you start any argument about international football but in the Nations League, you've immediately lost me. I must be honest. Sorry, Fergal.
All right,
that's only because England got relegated.
No, I wasn't interested when they got to the semis of it, mate. I'll be honest with you.
Boys, do you hear any drilling? There's really loud drilling going on to the apartment below me. So if that's going through,
you're all good.
Really weird segue that you've done there.
No, it's just it's been really bothering me.
Can you hear the
drilling? it's been really bothering me. So if it's going
because it's the best player drilling through the wall. Who do you think's the best player, guys?
Lionel Messi is my best player. Who's yours?
I've got Messi.
You've got Messi? Harry?
I think Neymar, but I think those are the two I'd probably be looking at.
So it's following the same kind of direction of whoever wins the semi-final will...
honestly, we're going to drop a clanger here and they'll both somehow go out in the groups and we'll look really silly.
Yeah, I predicted France, I said France are going to win the Euros, not even France could win the Euros. France are nailed on to win the Euros. And I said... Turkey are going to be dark horses. Look where we are.
God, I mean, I think we all said that. I mean, that was a terrible shout because they were terrible.
Horrendous.
Okay.
Top goal scorers.
I've put Harry Kane.
Oh
no.
Where do you have England finishing? First of all,
he had said semis.
I'll come to that.
I
won't say that now.
Mm-hmm.
I think Harry Kane, because of the group, I think he might do the same thing he done in the last World
2018, 100%. You know what? If he is top scorer, it'd be exactly the same manner.
And I think the way I have it planned out is you could have an easy enough run to the semi-final. And I could just see this the exact same. Like Southgate is going to be playing a similar way, so I think it's going to be penalties and set pieces and also Kane is good striker, and I just wonder will he absolutely run riot in the group stage and get another golden boot. So I that's what I was going for. I was looking at who's got the easiest groups. France, I think, or Mbappe was another one I was keeping in mind.
That's who I had. I had Mbappe. Similar sort of reason. I thought he could just rip them apart in the groups.
Lionel Messi. There's a similar group stage argument. So he plays against Poland, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia. I feel like they're a little bit underrated, but nowhere near the kind of requisite quality to stop Messi from scoring a hat-trick, basically. Mexico, very old and very off-color. Over the past, not even year or qualifying cycle, but 4 years. They had a good World Cup in 2018, but the same players have... A lot of the same players have been there and have grown old. It gives World Cup 20 kind of 10, 14-ish vibes for the US, where he just had really old squads. And were
got a point against England.
Largely struggled. Yeah, we did. But
thanks, Rob Green.
That's just because of Rob Green. But Mexico are in a bad way. the relationship between the fans and the head coach, Tata Martino, it's pretty sour. The squad
Why is
selection
that name
seems
familiar? Who's that?
Tata Martino used to be head coach of Barcelona in 2013-14, and head coach of the Atlanta FC, Atlanta United, Atlanta United up until I think 2019, and then took charge of Mexico, and it hasn't gone well, but he continues to be there. And then Poland, yeah. So there's a big chance that Leo Messi scores like somewhere between 5 and 6 goals in the group stage, and I think he's gonna score in pretty much every game afterwards. It's gonna be. I see it can be a one-man squad, a one-man team kind of thing. Even though they have loads of talent, but a Messi carry. At least I hope it is.
Entirely possible.
Yeah. So best player, top goal scorer, Messi. Winners, Argentina. Dark horses.
You asked me where I put England. I have England in my dark horse.
England, you dark horse.
It had to be a cheap shot at some point.
You know, Ali,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
be honest with you. I think they could go all the way round of 16. I really think they could do it. And for England, I think that'd be brilliant. You know, I think they have they're quite written off, and I've literally done the brackets twice, and because I have a feeling Denmark are going to win the group. I think they could come up against Denmark in the quarterfinal.
Yeah,
and that would be like an easier path.
And then get through to the semi, and then get easily beaten by Portugal. But at the same time, I could see Denmark beating them. That's who I have it.
Yeah,
Portugal.
That is
interesting.
That's the way it would go.
Oh yeah, you said you had Portugal in the final. That is true.
So yeah, but then again, I could see Denmark beating us as well. I think you should take a quarterfinal.
I would honestly take a round of 16 appearance right now, any day of the week. And then also
with that, I think Denmark are dark horse. On my other one,
they were mine. Yeah,
my other one. Although I think they will be put out early just because the way that it is. But Uruguay, like the look of them as well. And so yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, the winner of that group between them and Portugal would avoid playing Brazil in the round of 16. So
yeah,
pretty important that one.
I think Portugal are that wee bit better, but I think Uruguay are unlucky with the way that
they beat them at the last World Cup, didn't they? Uruguay, or am I remembering that wrong? I think it was 2-1.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure they played in the last World Cup. I don't know much about Uruguay squad, to be fair, but it's just because I had them playing Brazil. I didn't even consider it.
It's a really good squad.
Yeah,
but if they go second in the group, it would be behind Portugal, so that's an entirely possible thing. Even though, like, I can see Uruguay winning it easily, but
I could see them beating Portugal.
Yeah, they can. But if they do get second, which I ultimately think they would, they play Brazil. So, but my dark horses are Canada, because I think Canada make it out of the group, which would be just a tremendous achievement. But if anyone has watched them in the qualifiers or paid attention, they breezed through the qualifiers. It was very easy. I think they qualified with a couple of games to spare as well. Just very.
Have they had any difficult friendlies?
They have
themselves out again.
They had, but not difficult ones. They drew against Bahrain. Just weird scoreline. They drew against Bahrain, but I wouldn't read a lot into it because they didn't have.
Don't know if I'd say it's weird, but it's poor.
Yeah, but they didn't have the full squad.
Is Alphonso Davies? What way is he for it?
He's in, and he's listed as a forward because he plays on either wing normally left wing. So, yeah, Canada.
What is it
keep an
about
eye on.
Bayern left backs that just cannot play the same position for club and country?
Because Alphonso Davies is their best player, so they're gonna use him.
It was the same as David Alaba.
Same as David Alaba. Yeah, center back, DM, anything but left back. And then the last one is ones to watch. Now we had a pre-recording conversation about this. This could be, the way I look at it, personally, is someone who isn't like on top of the game yet, and could
I think
really
hasn't
have a
made it
breakout
into like,
tournament, or hasn't made it to world class status
not
yet.
mainstream world class standard. That's what I would say, because there's so many good players. Like, to pick a really obscure one now is kind of difficult.
Yeah. But really, the intention is a player you'll have your eye on in the World Cup. I'll start with you, Harry. Who you keeping tabs on? Not Tammy, because he's not squad.
No, not Tammy, because he's not made the squad. No, I had Bellingham. Now, again, this comes down to kind of how you define it. But the way I was looking at it was, if you pick someone that's kind of like a young prospect, for example, the chances of them playing loads of minutes probably aren't that high unless they play for a poorer team, and then a poorer team probably isn't going to do as well. So I thought I'd go with Bellingham, because I think that this, given his contractual situation, given he's going to have potential suitors next summer, this is the tournament where you sort of look at it, and apologies, Ali, probably from a Liverpool perspective, but if he has a great tournament, he probably puts himself on the map. Because I think in England, and I know he plays in Germany, so there he's probably well regarded as well.
Yep.
But it sort of feels like he's a Champions League run or a World Cup in this example, away from really being kind of up there with the hottest young.
It's his first international tournament.
That's the thing. I think the last tournament,
and he hasn't really guaranteed. Like, he's just about guaranteed a spot now in the starting 11.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think he'll play a lot, and it's just kind of what he does with it. So that's the one for me. And obviously, from an England perspective, hoping he does well. But yeah, I went with him.
I pick. I a couple picks. I liked Ernesto Valverde, but he was part of the Champions League team that won, and he's been playing unbelievable.
Is he the manager?
No, who am I thinking?
Federico. Is it Federico?
Valverde ended up plays for Real Madrid. What's his first name?
Is it Federico? Yeah.
Federico, and not Ernesto. Easy mistake to make.
Ernesto Valverde.
It'd be incredible if Ernesto Valverde laces up the boots again for Spain. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know what sort of player he was. But yeah, Federico Valverde, I think he'll be... I have him down as one to watch, but I've actually gone for Leao for Portugal.
Yeah, that's a great
good shout. That's a great shout, actually.
I think he could. Can't imagine it, because he just anytime I see clips of him for Milan, he's just making goals out of nothing. He's unbelievable in the Milan derby that I watched. And I think I'd imagine he'll have that left side to himself. Considering Jala's not in the team, and he's just brilliant. So I've gone with him. There was someone else I wanted to give an honorable mention to, apart from Valverde, but I'll go with Leao.
I have gone for someone who might not even play a single minute, but I really hope he does, and I'll keep an eye if he does.
Ernesto Valverde.
Ernesto Valverde.
Yeah.
No, if
so's Fergal, don't worry.
If he does start, he plays for the Netherlands. Fun fact: there's only one player with a last name starting with "fun" in the entirety of the Netherlands squad.
I know. I saw that, actually. That's crazy. Yeah. That's absolutely crazy. What have they come to?
Game's gone.
How far they've fallen. Yeah.
Game's gone. Xavi Simons. Now, I've heard of Xavi Simons like many, many, many people. Since he's been... yeah, I've heard of him. No, I've heard of him since he was like 11 years old. Like he was very widely covered in...
Almost a bit creepy, that.
Oh wow. No, because he went viral in the like early 2010s when he was in the Barcelona academy. And yeah, he was just like nailed on to be like a Xavi / Iniesta kind of
His
So Xavi,
name as well, his
the
hair.
successor of Xavi. Yeah, he was. I think it was named after Xavi. Like his first name was after Xavi. But it was
Like
like he was
Tyson
nailed
Fury.
on to be like the next Xavi / Iniesta in the Barcelona team, and then Paris Saint-Germain swooped in, didn't go very well. Now he's at Alkmaar, and no, he's at PSV. I'm sorry.
PSV.
Yeah, I just saw the Alkmaar badge on his SofaScore profile.
Yeah, he played against us in the group stages, mate.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a very like versatile midfielder. Just plays all across the spine. But
They were playing him on the
usually is
wing.
number 10.
They played him on the wing against us on the right.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
At least definitely in the home game or our home game. Because I
Wow.
remember there was a lot of the conversation was about Cody Gakpo. And I came out of that game and obviously the game we lost 2-0 to them.
Yep.
Far more impressed with Xavi Simons. He was very good. So, I mean, he looks a good player.
Yeah. I anticipate him playing, getting some minutes, and if he does, I think he'll attract a lot of eyes. I think he gets another move this summer because PSG just isn't the right place, obviously, for him in my mind. So that's all. I think, yeah, that's our World Cup preview. We took 51 minutes. That's an impressively kind of concise preview from everyone involved. Any last thoughts? Do you have any like specific predictions? Anything to look forward to from the tournament?
I think annoyingly, this is going to be a brilliant World Cup.
Wow. Okay, I have something to say about that.
I think annoyingly, this is going to be just one of the best, most exciting World Cups. There's nobody that's like a shoo-in for the World Cup. I think there's favorites there, but there's like a bracket of like, there's a solid bracket of about like 8 teams that you're like, if things went their way, they could at least be in the final, maybe if not winning it. There's so many like solid starting 11s. I think as we've seen, sometimes the stricter the country and the more money a country has, the more smoothly the actual tournament runs. The tournament itself, like, as long as they get the accommodation sorted and like sort of the cultural acceptance of the Western world sorted, while people are there, as much as they're willing to do, which is a shame. With like the whole gay rights, it was actually good to see. Wasn't it America? Didn't they go all rainbow colors
Change the badge, didn't they?
Yeah. On the, I think it's on in. I don't think on the crest, but on the shirts, but in their training facility at the World Cup, they've gone with rainbow colors, which is like really impressive, nice touch. Like, it'd be unbelievable if it went like rainbow kit first game or something. That'd be unbelievable. But anyway,
we have 2 kits that are equally as cheap looking as each other. Whatever. Yeah.
But annoyingly, I think I really wish it wasn't going to have an iconic moment or an iconic World Cup. I just have a feeling it's like quite interesting that it's in the winter time. I think although people are a bit annoyed about it, I think as the tournament gets into it, I think it'll be a novelty sort of feel. Like people over here in the UK and Ireland, sort of time you sort of go into a pub in the winter time now, and I feel like it'll have a different sort of good feel about that. And yeah, that's my sort of, I'm kind of like looking forward to it because of that reason. But at the same time, like, it's just a shame that it's Qatar I feel like it's going to have this really good World Cup. The other thing was, I forgot to say, was I think the actual feel of the World Cup, because all the stadiums are close together, I feel like it's going to feel like, if you're there, I think it's going to be like, feeling like you're just in one big festival of football because everything's so close by and so tightly knitted. And some of the accommodation facilities, although they look a bit dodgy, that one with all like sort of like porta cabins, if that might look bad, but if you're sort of like just there, sort of cheap and cheerful, like if there's everybody's just on a great buzz because you're at the World Cup, that could actually be incredible to be in. So like if certain things go the way, sadly, I think this could be one of the best World Cups, and it's just for me, it's annoying that it's going to be Qatar that has it. But I think it's shaping up quite nicely for them.
See, I disagree because there's a lot of, speaking of accommodation, there's pretty significant problems as of late because first of all, apart from the fact that Qatar are asking all the fans to download an app that would track all their basically cell phone usage and are allowed to kind of manipulate data and social media posts. Qatar are paying people to post positive things about the World Cup. They're paying people to show up as fans on the streets, like holding England flags. Very obviously not a group of England fans. That went pretty viral, I think, a couple days ago. Some fans are being asked to fly from neighboring countries into Qatar for matches, but obviously accommodations in like Bahrain and other neighboring countries and Kuwait,
Abu Dhabi and stuff like that.
Yeah, not a good look.
Dubai.
There's that. This is, I think, a pretty big concern transportation wise. I'm not sure how they're gonna handle that. Some of the accommodations weren't even ready a couple weeks ago. And I feel like because of all the negativity surrounding it, this World Cup is like I'm taking a really different approach to you, Fergal. I think it's not gonna succeed as an event. I feel like there's a pretty big chance of it getting nowhere near the ratings that 2018 got, 2014 got, with the cost being just on a whole different level. $220 billion is the cost of hosting this World Cup. The next most expensive was the Brazil one, 14. So there's a lot of money that's been spent. I worry for the future of the stadiums that are going to host the World Cup and what they're going to do with that, because they already had stadiums, but they needed to build new ones because none of them qualified.
Wouldn't be something I worry about. Like, if you're worried about the environment, I'd worry about that.
I'm worried about the environment.
I actually worry about.
I'm worried about the environment.
Stadiums, like,
yeah,
the legacy of this I'd imagine a lot of them will be knocked down and made into like hotels or something like that.
Yeah, there's one of them that's made out of container, the big ships, like whatever, import-export containers. That's a pretty cool concept, actually, because as soon as the World Cup's over, all the containers will be shipped off to another country and used. And like during the World Cup, all the containers have different colors for different uses, and that's a really cool concept. But I worry for the atmosphere, I worry for transportation, I worry for the fan experience, and for just the inclusion piece of it and how people are just gonna get along. Go on.
I thought the same sort of things about sort of Russia. But see them as sort of similar. I think Qatar are willing to chuck as much money at this to make it work, and I think because of that they can, they can solve the transportation issues. They will just pay stupid money for there to be enough transportation, and they're just such a strict regime that I think they'll get stuff done even if it isn't maybe ethically right, or and I think the fan experience, if you're there and if you're sort of just looking to go along and enjoy the football, and I think the football is going to be really good. That's what I think, because it's not at the end of the season. I think the teams are, although there's a lot of teams missing quality players, but I think there's so many just brilliant teams that are going into this World Cup. I for those reasons, I think if the football sometimes just elevates the tournament, and if the football's brilliant, I think it can can hide the fact. I hope there's enough coverage on like the issues that are going on.
We'll see what BBC do.
I hope there's maybe more sort of stuff done like what USA have done with the rainbow colors. It's a small gesture, but I think it's one that's quite important. Right? No, not quite. It is important, and I'd like to see more of that. For various different things. So I get your point, but I just have a feeling they're just gonna do it. I'd genuinely love to see it fail in some aspects, like, although you don't want to see it fail too much, because if it fails too much, it means like there's probably crowd issues and safety at risk and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to see it go down that route either. But
from a footballing quality wise, I think one of the things that will help Qatar is that Messi's going to have an amazing tournament. I just have a feeling Messi is going to absolutely explode.
This is it.
That will help.
If they get the moment of Messi winning the World Cup, or like and him being the best player,
that's actually one of the reasons why I think Argentina are going to win the World Cup, and I failed to mention it in like my prediction piece that we did.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why is that the narrative for the World Cup to succeed in Qatar, like, I feel like there is a hope at least for that to happen.
100%.
And I wonder.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Few strings being pulled in the background.
Yeah.
But look, we'll see what the referees. We'll know if
they said the R word.
Anthony Taylor's doing the semi-final versus Brazil. We'll know something's up.
Yeah, you do. Any closing thoughts, Harry?
I had one question, probably more specifically for Fergal, which is which player, and it's close to probably the last category we did about one to watch. Which breakout player are Chelsea going to sign for 80 million in the January transfer window off the back of the World Cup?
Fingers crossed, it's Leao. I know we were linked to him.
Leao isn't exactly breakout though. Leao's world class.
No, I know. But to be honest, it's just something I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks. Obviously, where their results are taking the nosedive, is someone will have a blinder of a World Cup.
Xavi Simons to replace Jorginho.
Dumfries. We'll sign Dumfries for stupid money.
I saw we were linked with him today. I've got no idea why. Yeah.
I could see it was Dumfries or a striker, maybe like Depay, as another like Aubameyang-esque. He can do a job for a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Well, ask the important question though.
Well, on the note of Chelsea making super signings, we'll end it there. We'll see you, I believe, in a week. If there is an episode in between, then stay tuned. But enjoy the World Cup. I do hope you enjoy it. Despite everything, whether or not your team is gonna do well, even though I'm pessimistic about the US and Harry's kind of down about England. And Fergal doesn't have a horse on a race because it's Ireland. Anyway,
I'm genuinely looking forward to it though, because I think now it's kind of here and we're talking about it. Like, there's just so many, like, as I said, I think there's so many good teams in this. I think it's got the potential to be a brilliant World Cup.
Have as positive a week as Fergal is being right now. I didn't expect that, Fergal. I thought you were gonna go.
Maybe lose it. Maybe it's just sort of forget about the USA, and unless they start doing well, don't even watch the games unless you keep the notifications on to go 1-0 up and then tune in. Keep the positive vibes.
Okay, keep the vibes good. All right, have a brilliant week. Enjoy the World Cup. We'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone.